Carmentary, welcome back. Neil Hartmann here, driving in my car. I'm heading out to Rusutsu Resort. It's Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas, everybody. I hope you're doing well wherever you are and you have a nice time with your family or friends. Tonight there's a little event with fireworks, music, a torch light parade, all this kind of good stuff. I'm going out to take some video and shoot some photos of it. I'm looking forward to that as well. But I thought I would answer a question. I've been getting all these good questions and comments on the videos recently, and I really appreciate that. Please keep them coming. And it makes me realize too how much knowledge is out there among all of you, because a lot of the time I'll put out a video talking about step-ins or whatever it was, and then people will add comments that are super insightful with, you know, packed with some really good information that I didn't either know or I forgot about, etc. So I appreciate that as well. Please add in the info that you have, things that I didn't talk about, where I went wrong, etc. It's all really cool. So today's question is about splitboarding, and this comes from someone, John something, I can't quite read the name, but someone from Colorado in the States is going to come over here, avid splitboarder. And the question was, you know, why don't I see more Japanese snowboarders, snow surfers using splitboards? What's up with that? So, well, first of all, they're really expensive. Or they have been up until now. I hear there's a lot of used splitboards coming onto the market, especially in North America, eBay, etc. Here we have a lot of used shops, but I don't really see the splitboards in the used shops. You probably see them on apps. There's apps like eBay called Mercari and other apps like that, Yahoo Auction, and people sell their gear. So from what I hear, a lot of splitboard sets are coming up for sale. Now that, you know, they're imported. They come into Japan, they're imported, so they become really expensive, and with the bindings, it is prohibitively expensive for the younger generation to buy them. That is one big hurdle here in Japan. Second, and you know, splitboards have been around for a long time now, and looking at it and how it has progressed in Japan, it really has to do with the terrain. It has to do with, let's just talk about Hokkaido. So Hokkaido mountains, the highest peak we have in Hokkaido is just over like 2,000 meters, 2,291 or something like that, Asahidake. So not that big. And, you know, no one is going to be hiking to the peaks of any of these mountains until March anyway. In January and in February, Asahidake, Yotezan, well, Yotezan gets hiked to the peak pretty much the whole season. There is an avid fan base of people who love to hike Mount Yote, which is right around 2,000 meters. But you have a lot of really cold temperatures, big snowstorms coming through. It is hard to get all the way to the top in, you know, minus 15 degrees snowstorm. And why would you want to anyway? So a lot of the hiking is at the lower elevations. In January and February, when it's really cold and the snow is really good, we're down here, you know, almost starting from sea level. It could be like little mountains, like 400 meters elevation. So it's short hikes with short runs, and then you're kind of lapping it. And especially for people who want to film things or make videos, so a lot of the footage that you see from, you know, professional riders or you know, people who are trying to capture some footage, they're not going for the long 3-hour hike to get one run. They're looking for short little sections that they can hike up, ride down, and repeat 5 or 6 times. So in the end, you're getting your vertical, you're getting a lot of riding in, but It's a lot of short little runs. The other thing is the snowpack that is on those smaller mountains. Like right now, you can't see it, but man, it looks good here. I'm going over the Nakayama Pass, and the top sections, and even down here, like, man, it has filled in beautifully in the last few days. Really nice looking snow. You're gonna get this snowpack that actually works really good with snowshoes. If you have a crew of 3 to 5 to 7 people, the thing here is to put in a staircase. A staircase that gets you up a little ridge to get to the drop-in point you want, and from there you're traversing and you're finding your lines and your little gullies, etc. You're riding down and you come back to that same staircase, boot pack, whatever you want to call it, and boom, you're back up it. And after the second time, it's probably going to be packed down enough to do it without the snowshoes, and to do it just on your boots. So that is another thing. That then allows you to use your freestyle board to have the best riding experience you want. Another thing, maybe the fourth thing that happens here, is just because you're doing these shorter lines, you can do it with a split board, of course. You're going to have to zigzag to get up there, whereas the snowshoes allow you to go straight up. And a lot of the guys here, when I was filming a lot back, like 10 years ago, that's what we would do. We just go straight up. It's just like, why do you want to zigzag? It feels like you're going a lot further. It's like, let's just go straight up and get it over with, get that boot pack in, and then we can lap this. You also have in January and February, when it's really cold in the mountains, can be like minus 15. A lot of issues with the skins. Getting snow on the skins, then they don't stick to the board properly. You got to wrap them around your waist to try and keep them warm. Or if it's just super windy and they're flapping all around, and yeah, there are issues. So I think everybody understands that. Split boards are great for longer hikes, especially on sort of medium steepness terrain. If it gets really steep, they're not so great. If it gets really hard and icy, they're not so great. Now with the crampons that you can add on, that definitely helps. And guys who are really good at it and really strong can put the crampons on and get up really steep, icy stuff. I see them do it, and respect. Asahi Dake, Furano Dake, some of the bigger mountains in the Tokachi range. Basically, the ridge lines that you hike up are all going to be like hard and icy. It's just sort of presumed. After you get out a tree line and you're up there, those ridge lines are always like really hard and icy. And you might start on your split board, and then when you get on the ridge, it's time to take it off and just put on the crampons and you just get up there faster. So that, I think, is generally what has happened in Japan. It's the size of the mountains, the terrain, and the snowpack. Another thing might just be cultural. If you have a group that is some people on split boards and some people on snowshoes, it's kind of a pain in the ass. You can't take the same line. You don't want to take the same line. If you're on a split board, you don't want someone on snowshoes in front of you. They screw up the whole trail. And if you're on snowshoes behind someone on a split board, it sucks because they're floating and way ahead of you and you're just post-holing. I love the split board. I love the split board because I generally have to carry a heavy camera backpack. And it's so much better to not have a snowboard on your back. So much better. I love it. It's great. So I sometimes spend the entire day on a split board. If it's a short little pitch and I only need to go halfway up, and and then traverse across to shoot stuff and then come back down, I'll just ski back down. I won't even change over if it's a short little section. Who cares? So I spend a lot of time on the Splitboard, but yeah, that pretty much is what it is. There's still people who will use the snowshoes. There are guys too who have both. They have the Splitboard, they have the snowshoes, and they will be very selective. So that will depend on the crew. If there's more people with snowshoes, it's like, all right, let's just all go with snowshoes and, you know, not complain. But as spring approaches and everybody starts to go to the central Hokkaido, bigger mountains, etc., it becomes more of a splitboarding kind of a scene. I think that covers everything. Within that same question, there was a question about, is there a good like avalanche information website or, you know, for Japan, Hokkaido, in English or in Japanese? To be honest with you, no. Japan is really way behind on the avalanche forecasting, avalanche information, snowpack forecasting, etc. Way behind. There are small pockets of information and groups and people who are doing their best with what they have to get information out there. If you're in Niseko, the Niseko Avalanche Report, I believe it's called. I think you can search for that. They post a little report bilingual in Japanese and English every day throughout the season. It's not a perfect report. I suppose there's no perfect report out there, but it will give you the basics, the wind, the temperature, what's kind of going on, field observations, and some advice is always added on the end. You know, don't go here, don't go there, watch out for this, watch out for that. Sometimes the advice is really on point, and sometimes the advice is kind of weird. Yeah, I think you'll understand when you read it. For the central Hokkaido area and other areas, man, I don't know of anything. It's really really tricky. Basically, here in Japan, the thing to do is just really keep an eye on the weather reports, and then you really got to get out there, and if you're concerned or you're going into that kind of terrain, you got to do your own research. Where have we heard that before? You got to dig some pits, and you got to do it yourself. Yeah, sorry. There is a great website called HokkaidoWilds.org, HokkaidoWilds.org, which is all in English and has tons of information, trail maps, routes, blog posts, all kinds of information, photos about different, both all seasons, summer trekking stuff and winter ski touring. Absolutely the best source for English information about backcountry stuff in Hokkaido. So if you're into that, please check that out. But I don't believe they do any kind of like snow forecasting or avalanche information on there. So yeah, it's a little tricky on that end. But there are avalanche accidents here, and I don't have the exact data, but it kind of feels like they're increasing. Some years are worse than others. I think it's just the sheer number of people going into the backcountry now in Hokkaido that has increased the avalanches, plus maybe more dramatic changes in the temperature. Hokkaido, in the past, I've been here over 30 years, and it was always like a freezer the entire winter. You never had to really deal with plus temperatures. Felt like we were in the minus zone the entire season. Now we get a lot more kind of fluctuations. Things get warm, there might be a little rain event, it gets cold again, and you know what that means. means a very dangerous icy layer. So there are more situations like that. I just saw yesterday a buddy of mine, a really old friend on Instagram, posted a little, they were doing some Yukita snow surfing with no bindings, just board on feet. Little roadside stuff, a little gully, beautiful little natural gully, and the whole thing just like slabbed out. It looked like it was 40 or 50 centimeters deep. It was kind of crazy. Nobody got hurt. They were all okay. So that was great, but it just shows that this season, early season, has been up and down. We got really cold, then it got really warm, we had rain, then it got cold again. So right away you've got some ice layers down near the base there that definitely need to be considered for the rest of the season. So anecdotal, is that the word? Anyway, it's just stuff I've seen on Instagram, you know. But hey, every little piece of information is important. Okay, I hope that helps somewhat. And that's my little spiel on splitboarding and avalanche forecasting here in Japan. Hopefully, in the future, we will get more and more info about the snowpack as things grow and develop here. By the way, I'm cruising through Kimobetsu near Rusutsu right now, and they definitely got some snow yesterday. Man, it looks good here. All the roofs are just covered. Great stuff as we get into the winter season. Drive safe, everybody. Thanks for listening.